Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. Wanted to cover some of the action from the lower levels of the minor leagues with the Dodgers in the system as of right now. There's just been so much action. Haven't been able to get to all of it. And, that's frustrating to me, so I want to get to it on its own standalone show here on Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. And who you're seeing right here is Jaron Elkins. Jaron Elkins, you talk about a young man where very few human beings on earth have the physical and raw tools that Jaron Elkins has. Had 4 hits last night for Ontario, the Tower Buzzers. You talk about a fun team to follow. That's the Ontario Tower Buzzers. If you're not following them, please do. Obviously, they have the new stadium. That's cool. You have all the newness, the first times of everything. Brennan Tunick got the first home run. You had a first save in an ONT field, all this kind of stuff. You have all these new players that are getting their firsts in as far as affiliated baseball. So we'll get into some of the firsts as far as the players go, but follow the Tower Buzzers if you're not right now. How about Jaron Elkins? 4 hits last night for the Ontario Tower Buzzers, just a double shy of the cycle. Elkins is 6 for his last 8, and in that 6 for his last 8, he has a double, a home run, and 5 RBIs. So Jaron Elkins, super talented. And you talk about another young man. Very good to see Joendry Vargas as we get to his video here in just a second as I can get it up. Joendry Vargas, who spent much of last year injured, he is back and he is playing well. Big young man. Of course, now you have Emil Morales and Joendry Vargas, 2 big, very talented international shortstop prospects. So it's going to be interesting to see how Shoemaker handles both of these young men and getting them enough innings in terms of at shortstop. Of course, you could always put one at shortstop and one at third base. But I think both of them want to play short. I think both of them could profile. There's that beautiful new ONT field in Ontario. That is just absolutely gorgeous stadium. They're well done by everybody involved there, and we did get our media credentials, so that's super exciting. Joendry Vargas, back after missing parts of last year. Big dude, athletic, long shortstop, lots of tools. 2 hits last night. Vargas is hitting .269. OPS 845, so stay tuned to follow Joendry Vargas. Obviously, him and Emil Morales both front of the Rolodex type of talent. So good to see Vargas. The main thing about him, it's just good to see him healthy again. I think with a good run of health, we're going to see. I don't think we've really gotten to see just the exact type of impact that Vargas can make on games over a consistent level, because I don't think he's been healthy enough to do so. So it's good to see Joendry Vargas back and good to see him healthy. And as we continue to work our way on, we're going to get to Jholbran Herder. Jholbran Herder threw last night, a scoreless inning for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. Really like Herder. This is Herder, I should say. 94 range, sinker and a 4-seam, kind of a big dude. Not great extension, it doesn't look like. I don't have his exact extension numbers, but he has good stuff, a good delivery. You can see how he hides the ball very well. Very competitive young man. So Jholbran Herder, fastball, cutter, change, 94 range. He also has a sinker and a 4-seam. There's that good slider, cutter, type pitch there. There's one that backed up on him. So really a starter's mix for Jholbran Herder. 94. He's kind of throwing that middle relief type outing, if you will, and kind of knocking down, get a lead and make it boring and knock down those middle innings. That's what Jholbran Herder is doing for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. And it's fun to watch these young pitchers because they're very excited. That a lot of time, not Herder through last year for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, but seeing these guys, especially for, if not the first time, then one of the first times you've ever seen them, it's a lot of fun to see what they throw south to home plate. And speaking of the first time, this was the first time that I ever saw big Luis Carias pitch for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. Like we said, lots and lots of first for Ontario that we talked about just a minute ago. This is Luis Carias's very first outing as an affiliated professional baseball player. So congratulations to Luis Carias. And if you're not noticing here, big dude, absolutely big dude, 6'4", just 21 years old. That's what you got to like about the international prospects is none of them went to college, so a lot of them were signed at very young ages. And yes, it takes them 2 or 3 years to get over to America. Then once they get here, usually they spend a year, maybe 2 at the complex. But they typically get to Rancho when they're 19, 20, 21 years old, and there's a lot of time to work. So Luis Carias, big fastball here. I will message to see if I can get the exact mix from here, but tight breaking ball, good. It looks like it has pretty good ride, pretty good carry to that fastball. There is Luis Carias, and staying on the theme of making the debut, we are going to get into another young man right here, Ricardo Montero. If I can get to his video file, give me just a second here, and we will check out video of Ricardo Montero as he made his debut last night. Right here is the video. Let's get after it. Ricardo Montero, congratulations, young man. Another big dude. Reminds me, if you remember, Guillermo Zuniga, who was in the organization 3 or 4 years ago, became a free agent, actually made his major league debut with the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe he did. Had a really good World Baseball Classic, not this last time around, but the time before that. Big fastball. Look at that breaking ball for Ricardo Montero. Congratulations, making debut. You know, we mentioned that Carias was 6'4". How about 6'6" for Ricardo Montero? 6'6", big fastball here. 22 years old, San Cristobal, Dominican Republic, so he's from the DR, and so big fastball, fun to see him. Again, as we go on, lots of names I'm throwing out here. Just want to kind of get you introduced to him, to them. As we go on, we'll learn a little bit more about not just their pitch mix, but how it all plays. Same with the guy, Jecsua Liborius. This was his second outing. This was not his debut, but I love the leg kick. Reminds me a lot of Jermaine Rosario. Rosario at this stage in his career was a starter. Liborius is starting in the bullpen, live arm. Kind of got some Marcus Stroman to him too a little bit. So kind of a live arm, loose arm, if you will. Kind of has deception and really, really late, tight breaking slider pitch, if you will. So really like what I see out of Jecsua Liborius. Exciting young man. You talk about lots of energy. Super excited to be in the States and playing in the States as far as affiliated baseball. So Jecsua Liborius, there are some of the new names: Luis Carias, Ricardo Montero, and obviously Jaron Elkins is tearing the cover off the baseball right now. Brennan Tunick is playing very well. Then another guy, another first for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. How about Anson Aroz, actually. Anson Aroz, a young man, catching prospect out of the University of Oregon last year. Got his first hit in affiliated baseball last night, and that's it. His first hit in affiliated baseball for Anson Aroz was a home run. Switch hitting catcher out of Oregon. Blake Hawksworth was the pitching coach last year at Oregon. He now is at Oklahoma State. So I have a connection to Aroz. I'm going to be excited next time I see Blake at O'Brate Stadium in Stillwater. If I have a chance, I'm going to ask Blake, who was the pitching coach at Oregon, about Aroz, because, you know, the catchers work very closely with the pitchers and the pitching coaches. So Blake will know Anson very, very well being at it. And I might ask also Isaac Ione, who is at Oregon too, what Aroz is like more specifically. But again, hey, just the scouting report on him. He's probably dominant right-handed switch-hitting hitter right now as a catching prospect. Can also play the outfield, so a good athlete there. Known more for his defense, really, in terms of having a good arm, quick release, very good defender, with an offensive game that really in the last year or two has really started growing. So there's a good look at Anson Aroz for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. And then another guy that I think we need to keep a really, really close eye on as we now transition from the low A level to the high A level in terms of and of course, if we're going to talk about the high A level, we are talking about the Great Lakes Loons. Reynaldo Yean has thrown 2 scoreless outings. And by the way, he was hitting 101 consistently last night, and it was like 101.6. So it was closer to 102 than it was 101. Now, he did walk a guy last night, but Reynaldo Yean, over 100 miles an hour. He's gone out there 2 different times, and he has gone scoreless both times. Definitely. We all know front of the Rolodex type talent. So we got to keep a monitor on Reynaldo Yean. Again, it's all about, can he keep the ball in the strike zone? Can he keep from walking too many guys to where he can take that 102-mile-an-hour fastball? As a matter of fact, Reynaldo Yean has hit 105 before. Can he take that fastball, maximize it by being in the zone enough? So a good start for Reynaldo Yean. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll see how the season goes. Hopefully he can stay healthy and we can see just exactly where he's at. You got to remember, this is still a guy that's fairly young. I think he's 22 years old right now. So still plenty of time for Reynaldo Yean. And you talk about plenty of time and a young man that is super talented. This is Sterling Patick. Sterling Patick, you know, the results, he made it all the way in the 5th inning, and his runs came in the 5th inning, which was disappointing because through 4 innings, I mean, you talk about an absolutely dominant start last night. Matter of fact, through 4 innings last night, he had not given up a run. He had 7 strikeouts through 4 innings, and he had retired 12 of the 14 hitters he had faced through 4 innings. Then he ran into turbulence in the 5th, walked a guy, gave up a hit, that kind of thing. But you got to keep in mind, he was at the end of his string, okay? And it is cold in Michigan right now. And so to try to lengthen out through 5 innings, tough ask last night. So the 5th inning, I'm really just going to kind of attribute to, hey, I like the fact that they're trying to stretch these guys out. We saw that with Ryder Ryan last night, the Oklahoma City level 2. I'd rather see a guy get stretched out into the 5th inning, trying to create extra length for his team, obviously within the structure of a pitch count, and give up a couple of runs, then trying to overprotect guys like we've seen the Dodgers do in the past, and only throw them 3, maybe 4 innings. And yet you don't ever get to see him. Look at that big curveball from Sterling Patick. You don't get to see what they're like coming down on fumes and see if they can just gut one up and make some pitches. So I love the fact that they tried to stretch him out. I love the fact that he made it in the 5th inning. I love the fact that, because here's what I think will happen. We saw this with a couple of years ago with Jackson Ferris. As you say, hey, you know what? You're not only your job is to go out and dominate, your job is to go out and go 5, as we go on 6, maybe 7 innings. Now, as they continue to send him out there for the 5th inning, what will happen is here in a couple, 2, 3, 4 outings, the 5th inning will look, the innings 1 through 5 will look through like the innings 1 through 4 because he'll be conditioned for it. Then maybe the 6th inning goes sideways. Then you get 6 innings and so on and so forth. That's how you build a guy up. So nothing but very good side domination through 4 innings last night for Sterling Patick, who has a good riding fastball, that tight cutter right there, then the big curveball. So he has the bridge, he has the fastball in the 90s, obviously. He has that cutter that's in between the high 70s curveball. So lots and lots and lots to be excited about Sterling Patick. Not just his outing last night, but just overall top 30 prospect, definitely deserving of that. He has front of the Rolodex type capabilities. So let's keep an eye out on Sterling Patick. He's already at high A and 20 years old. I believe he's 20 years old. Don't exactly quote me on that. If I'm wrong there, it's only by a year or so. But already at the high A level, there's Charles Davalon going and catching one right there. The boy Charles. You can see just how cold it is. Talking about Sterling Patick getting into the 5th inning. This is Nicolas Cruz. Hey, we know all about Nicolas. And this is a young man that, you look at that changeup. That changeup, the back-to-back changeups. Let me back that up so you can see these back-to-back changeups. Changeup number 1 for strike 2. Well, actually, that's strike 3 right there. Let's back this up. Changeup number 1, back it up a little bit further. They were getting ready to come right here. Changeup number 1, strike 2. Look at that thing tumble. Now, you're going to get a tumble there. Now, watch the right turn. Wow. Those are so more of a right turn to that one. Those are 2 not good pitches. Those are 2 elite changeups to the bottom of the zone. Then you notice he tunneled that changeup with his fastball to the bottom of the zone and just really is dominating. This is why we always talk about with Nicolas Cruz, it is always an execution focus with really good stuff. I mean, that changeup's a really, really good pitch. And he's the guy, you know how you get a lead? You have a good start from Sterling Patick. The Loons had scored 3 runs after the first 3 hitters. I mean, you had doubles by Charles Davalon, and then he had a home run by Logan Wagner. So after the first 3 innings, the Loons had a 3-0 lead, which they only gave up 2 runs all night. They had scored enough runs in the first 3 batters to last them the entire game. And part of that is, yes, you get a good start, but then you have that middle reliever that takes that start and they bridge it all the way to the end of the game. The way that I describe it is, get a lead and then make it boring. That's exactly what Nicolas Cruz does. Last night, 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and no walks. So a great job there by Nicolas Cruz, no doubt about it. Did a very good job last night. So wanted to make sure and cover him. And some of the guys we didn't cover on today's show that I wanted to get to. We talked about Cam Day earlier. I want to get to Carson Hobbs. Carson Hobbs, I'm telling you, man, this dude is, well, we talked about obviously Cam Day having just really nasty stuff. So does Carson Hobbs. Look at that breaking ball. That is just ridiculous. Now, when you're watching those breaking balls, just keep in mind with Carson Hobbs, he can hit 99. Look at that huge curveball with the sliders that you saw back up. As you watch these breaking balls, keep in mind, he has hit 99. He will hit 100 probably sometime during this season to pair with that slider and curveball. Also, keep in mind, he's one of the most competitive human beings on earth. His execution focus is very good, so the execution is good. Very competitive, and his slider is his best pitch. So, I mean, you're talking about 99 with a plus slider, a ridiculous curveball, massive competitiveness, execution focus, nothing not to really like about Carson Hobbs. So great job, Carson Hobbs. He's off to a great start this season. Front of the Rolodex guy, wanted to make sure and get him covered. And another guy that I wanted to cover here that threw last night that has kind of been on helium in the past, but then had some injury situations, is Lucas Wepf. Lucas Wepf is another guy that can rush it up there right at 100 miles an hour. He has the Splinker pitch, which he ended the inning last night with. I think it's listed as a splitter. When I talked to him, he called it a Splinker, which is a sinker and a splitter mixed together. And I can tell you, the AA Tulsa Drillers are in Springfield right now, and Springfield is a hard place to pitch. I mean, it is, I don't know why, it's a launching pad. Every time the Drillers go there, they have high-scoring games. Last night, Lucas Wepf, hey, finally he's healthy, so it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully he can have a full run of health. Last time Lucas Wepf had a full run of health, there's that Splinker right there, good pitch. He was really good for a long stretch. Then again, there's another Splinker there, really nice pitch. You can see the compete nature there, really fired up. Good firm fastball again that can approach 100. Matter of fact, I think Lucas Wepf has hit 100 already before. Don't exactly quote me on that. If he hasn't, I'm pretty sure he's hit 99. So 1.1 innings last night for Lucas Wepf. No hits, no runs, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk. You can see unique motion, lots of knees and elbows, good length, lots of movement. Again, good velo. He has a unique pitch in that Splinker pitch. So keep an eye out on Lucas Wepf. Let's hope that he can stay healthy and he can continue to prove just what exactly he is capable of doing, which in the past has been fairly eye-popping because it's taken him from being an undrafted free agent into being, I think, on the tree for the Dodgers in terms of watching his progress. And talk about a guy who is making a lot of progress. I got a chance to communicate with Evan Shaw today. 92-94, which is a tick or 2 up, and that's early in the season. That tells me that he might end up being 93-95 by the end of this year. Continue to climb that, and you talk about the Tremendous execution from Evan Shaw. Look at him work both sides of the plate. He'll work the top of the zone right there. He'll also work the bottom of the zone. He'll change speeds. He'll pull the string on you. He'll do all those pitcherish type things that a lot of people would see that slider there. I mean, the hitter's like, dang, that's a really nice pitch. And he's tunneling that off the inside fastball. See the inside fastball? He tunneled that off the last slider. Then he slides one on the outer half, and the hitter's like, wow, that's a really, really good combo right there. Evan Shaw is off to a really, really good start. He's just one of those guys, kind of that Tom Glavine type of setup to where nothing that you watch is going to make you go, wow, look at that. But then again, you look at the stat sheet, and the next thing you know, he's just kind of made innings go away. That's what he did last night. 2 1/3 innings for the AA Tulsa Drillers. No hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Evan Shaw on the season so far has not allowed a run in his 3 innings on the season. So that's pitching wise. I wanted to get to some of those guys for the AA Tulsa Drillers. Let's get to some guys that you've heard about on the offensive side. Of course, earlier today we already talked about Josue de Paula. We talked about Kendall George, the great starts that they have had. Let's talk about Joey V, Big Joe Vetrano. He has made his way up to AA. I love that. I know he's a big dude. I know you'd like to see him use those exit velos, get the ball in the air and hit home runs. I love this, though. Keep doing this, Joe. Keep taking your hits, man. I mean, he's kind of just a really good hitter inside of a really big body, and so there's kind of a conflict there. And so my opinion, hey, do what you do best. Try to add to that as you go, but don't try to change. Do what I think, as the way that I always list, the Kyle Nevin. Add to it as you can, but don't ever eliminate your game where you're really good at just gathering hits, right? Just take your hits and then add some power to that. So it's good to see Joe Vetrano off to a good start. He has 3 multi-hit games in his last 4. He's hitting right at 300. So hopefully Joe Vetrano can continue to give the AA Tulsa Drillers a really good start to the season. So that's going to take us to the end of our Down on the Farm segment. Let's go back. I want to cover one more guy that I think I really need to cover here, and that is Robbie Porco I just should have covered him earlier. I want to cover him right now. I think I've covered him once before on a Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. This is Robbie Porco. Robbie Porco, a young man out of the University of West Virginia. Nope, sorry. I got my butt chewed for saying that last time. They changed that. It's West Virginia University, WVU. Robbie Porco, high-riding fastball, top of the zone. And really, Emlyn just couldn't hit it. They could not hit his high-riding four-seam. 6'8", Robbie Porco. So the ball's coming out of the sky. Last time out, 2 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 strikeouts. And Robbie Porco has yet to allow a run in his 5 innings of work. And then let's cap it off. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's get to Brennan Tunick, because Brennan Tunick has been maybe the best hitter for the Ontario Tower Buzzers. He's been just absolutely fantastic so far with the Tower Buzzers, and let's get to his action here. So Brennan Tunick really is just kind of taking pro ball, and he's made it look way too easy. 3 more hits, what would that be? On Wednesday night for Brennan Tunick. Okay, he's just been absolutely fantastic. 4th multi-hit game of the season, Wednesday night. Out of the 5 he's played in 6 now. So of the 6 games that Brennan Tunick's played, he has 4 multi-hit games, 2 doubles, 3 home runs, including the very first home run at O&T Field there in Ontario. 20-year-old that just literally made his affiliated debut, was in high school not that long ago. Brennan Tunick making pro baseball look way, way, way too easy. So, hey, that's going to do it for today's Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. I want to thank you for tuning in. And as always, remind you, it's a great day to be a Dodger.